Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Julene, and today we're going to be talking about my breastfeeding journey. So since the second that I found out that I was pregnant with Caleb, I researched everything and anything that you could possibly think about. I researched, except for breastfeeding. And why, you might ask? It's just breastfeeding is supposed to be this innate thing, something that you're born being able to do, right? Wrong. I asked every single woman in my life that I knew that had had a baby about breastfeeding. Some of them said that it was the easiest thing ever, and then others weren't so willing to talk about it because maybe they had struggled or, maybe it just didn't work out for them, which is perfectly fine. Each mama chooses her own journey, whether it's breastfeeding or formula feeding. They are both great. But for me, it has always been a lifelong dream to be able to breastfeed my baby. So no one actually prepared me for what the reality of breastfeeding was actually going to be like. While I was pregnant, I didn't even think about breastfeeding twice. I just figured that the baby would be born, I would put him on my boob, and that's it. He would know how to breastfeed, I would know how to breastfeed, and that's it. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. In my case, Caleb was born on a Saturday night, and it just so happens that my hospital doesn't provide lactation consultants until Monday. So basically from Saturday night till Monday morning, I had to try and figure it out. And all the nurses that came in were trying to help me out. I was trying to figure it out, and I just wasn't being successful. I had waited 9 months for this moment to hold my newborn baby in my arms and just be able to feed him with my body. No matter how hard I tried, I was just not able to do it. I would put him on my boob and I would try to get him on the nipple. I didn't really know what it felt like, so I wasn't sure if he was on it or not. So I would check every so often because it was extremely painful. And when I would check, I would find that I would have a hickey like around the nipple, like on the side or on the other side. And I just wasn't doing it the right way. Like, it wasn't just, okay, put your baby on the boob and that's it. Like, it works out. That's not how it works at all. From Saturday night to Monday, like I said, was just a huge struggle, and it was just so hard. So Monday morning came and the lactation consultant finally arrived, and she took a look at my boobs and was like, what happened? Like, anybody else would have given up by now. How are you still going? You must be in so much pain. My nipples basically looked like they had gotten into a fight with knives. They were bruised, they had cuts on them, like they were bleeding. They had like what looked like hickeys like all around like the nipple, like around the areola, because I thought that the baby was latching on and he actually wasn't at all. And so he was just like sucking in one place and created what looked like a little hickey, and it was extremely painful. My nipples were just so incredibly swollen that they just hurt so bad. I couldn't even wear a shirt. The lactation consultant just tried to talk me through it, tried to explain it to me. She would try to hand express some milk and some colostrum so the baby could at least get that. Right when they're born, they're so small that what they eat is so little. They really don't need a lot. Their stomachs are tiny, so all they need are a few drops. We ended up trying different things. She made me hold him on a pillow. She had me hold him cross cradle. She had me hold him like a football, and she just had me try all these different ways, and she ended up saying that the football hold was the easiest one. She saw how motivated I was to actually breastfeed my son Caleb, so she came in every 2 hours. I would stick him on, we would try for like 10 minutes, and the pain was just unbearable. It actually got to the point where I just had to tell her that I couldn't do it anymore and I had to stop. I was disappointed, but it was just, the baby just did not seem like he was latching on correctly, and I was just in so much pain that it just didn't seem worth it anymore. So that night, one of the nurses that came in told me that I could have asked for nipple shields, which I did not know about. So it would be good to know if your hospital provides nipple shields, because maybe that can help out a little bit. Also, I didn't know that you could ask for a pump, and that can also help out. I decided that I was going to wait till I got home, and at home I was going to pump manually and try to get my milk to come in like that. So once I made that decision, the next step was to give my baby formula because we needed to feed him somehow. Clearly, I was not able to do it, and it was the most disappointing feeling in the world. Here I am, I just had my baby. My one and only job was to feed him, and I just wasn't able to. I tried so hard, I just could not. Once I gave him that formula, that baby was guzzling the formula down, and that just made me feel even worse. Clearly, he was so hungry, and he hadn't eaten, and it was just so bad. We got some formula in his system, and as soon as we left the hospital, we were going to go buy some more formula so that we could keep supplementing with formula until I was able to get to a pump. Just to top things off and just make things even worse, right when I was ready to go home, the pediatrician that was on call told us that Caleb was not going to be leaving the hospital, going to have to stay in the NICU. They found crystals in his urine when they opened his diaper, which meant that he was dehydrated. And clearly he was dehydrated because he had not been able to feed properly, and we had just gotten the formula to him just a few hours ago. So talk about knocking somebody when they're down. I did not wait for 9 months to hold my baby in my arms for 3 days to then be told that I had to leave him in the NICU. So I talked to the nurses and I asked them what I had to do. It was very clear. I just had to hydrate him. We just gave him formula like we were doing, and after a few wet diapers, he ended up having a diaper that was clear and did not have any crystals in it, and we were given the green light. We were discharged, and they told us that we could go home. So once I got home, my main goal was to get home and pump, because it had been over 24 hours. I think it had been over 36 hours since I had last had any nipple stimulation, since I had put my baby on my boob. So I needed to pump because I needed to start getting like the milk going. As soon as I got home, I got my manual pump and I just started pumping. I would pump about every 2 hours for 20 minutes on each side. Every time the baby would wake up, I would change his diaper, I would feed him formula, and after feeding him, I would put him back to sleep, and then I would sit there and pump for 20 minutes. After about the 3rd or 4th time that I pumped, I finally got a tiny little drop of milk, which I'm gonna show you guys here so that you can see what it looked like. And then every time after that, I just had a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I was just waiting so I could go buy an electric pump. Now, the reason why I didn't have an electric pump was because my insurance was supposed to send me one, but they needed proof of delivery to send me the pump. So I went out and I bought my own pump on the next day, and once I got that electrical pump, it was a game changer. And in the next slides, I'm going to show you guys my milk progression, and you are going to see how I went from like the tiniest little bit to basically like 5 ounces of milk off of each side. It was the best feeling, the most amazing feeling ever, because it was so hard, and I just thought that I was not going to be able to get any milk out because I had been so long without pumping or any nipple stimulation. So guys, if I can help anybody out there, if I can motivate any of you guys to just like push through and keep trying, just don't give up. So once I started using the electric pump, it was really painful because my nipples were still bruised and cut up and sore and basically destroyed. So I actually used some nipple butter, which I also have right here, and I used this one. It was really good. It's better to have a lubricated nipple than to just have a dry one, because when the pump sucks, it doesn't hurt and it doesn't cut you up more. So I used this and it made the pumping not painful. Once my milk came in, I started bottle feeding my baby, and I changed from formula back to breast milk, and I would just bottle feed my baby the breast milk that I was pumping all the time. And I didn't latch the baby back on because just giving him the bottle just seemed like it was so much easier and it was pain-free. So after a few weeks, I finally built up the courage to actually breastfeed and put the baby on my boob. I just remembered how badly it hurt, and I just did not want to do it. I was so afraid of it, but I just did it. But it was okay. I wasn't getting all the cuts and bruises that I was getting before, but it was still painful. And so I clearly still was not doing something right because I really didn't learn how to do it since I gave up at the hospital. Even though it was painful, I was just so happy that I was breastfeeding him that I just continued to do it, and I just stuck through the pain. And it was nothing like the pain that I had in the hospital, so I was just dealing with it. Little by little, it was becoming more and more painful, and then all of a sudden, like, I got mastitis, and I got a clogged duct and a milk bleb, and which I'll actually talk about in another video, how I overcame it and everything. That just made me not want to breastfeed anymore. It was just not a positive experience. By 7 weeks, I just decided that I was gonna give up and I just wasn't going to breastfeed anymore. I would pump and I would just bottle feed my baby, and that's what I was going to do. I gave it one last shot, and I found a lactation consultant online, and I called her to come to my house to try to help me out. When she came over, she obviously watched me breastfeed, and she watched what I was doing. She noticed that my nipples are different shapes. So one of the biggest issues that I was having was that the baby was actually clogging half of my nipple because of the way that I was holding him and because of the shape of my nipple. So once she corrected that and she changed his latch and she changed how I was holding him, that changed everything. And because of her, I am still breastfeeding today. So the point of this video, I know, was a little bit long, was for me to explain to you my journey and how hard it was for me to breastfeed, and how many times I wanted to give up, and how painful it was, and how I felt like such a terrible person because I felt like I had affected my child's health and I was not able to feed him, and I just felt so defeated. I pushed through and I sought out resources, and I was successful. I am now successful, and I am able to breastfeed my baby, and it is the easiest thing to do, and it's just amazing because you just can pop out your boob anywhere that you are and just breastfeed your baby. If this motivates one person, if this helps one person out, then I have done my job. I hope you guys liked my video, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.